Hi, everyone. Welcome to What Would You Miss? Fayetteville Free Library Style. Right before COVID hit, the library had invited me to come in and speak about what would you miss, why I started it, what the idea behind it was, to share some stories of people who have survived a suicide, and for people who are struggling with suicidal ideations, and for people who have lost someone by suicide. So tonight we're going to do just that all over again. The idea here is that I'm going to share with you some ideas as to why What Would You Miss works for me, some stories behind it. I want everybody to understand that this is just a tool in your toolbox. This is not a solution. This is just something you can add to your emotional reserve, as I like to call it. It's something that you can use when you're struggling and something that you can use when you're feeling really good. Something that's really important to understand is working on yourself when you're feeling good is vital, because if you don't do that, then you won't be able to work on yourself when you're having a hard time. If you're having a panic attack or feeling super stressed out, you can't just breathe. It's not going to work if you've never done it before. I have a saying that I say quite often, and that is, nobody in the history of calm down has actually ever calmed down. Telling someone to calm down when they're in a panic attack does actually just the opposite. So the point is that we want to work on these skills and these tools when we're feeling good. So you should go to your therapist when you're feeling good. You should take a walk when you're feeling good, write in your journal, all those things, so that you can utilize them when you're struggling, which struggling is an important thing to talk about, right? We have a lot of times in our lives when we get into that really dark space and we have a hard time pulling ourselves out or even asking for help. We've seemed to put ourselves in society in this space where we think asking for help is a sign of weakness, and it truly isn't. It's a sign of strength. It shows that we are strong enough to reach out and get the help that we need. But that's also really hard to do, right? So how do we do that? How do we get the help that we need from the people that are in our lives, from people that we can trust and that are safe? That's sort of why I started What Would You Miss? I'll give you a little background. I have struggled with suicidal ideations and depression and anxiety basically my whole life. I'm a 2-time suicide survivor, and I know when I'm in that dark space. And when I start to get to the point where I need help, I need to try every tool I can to get me out of it. And one day I was talking with a friend whose son died by suicide, and I just was asking her, what do you miss about him? And it gave her this comforting space where she could talk about him, and not how he died, but talk about him. And afterwards, I was struggling with some thoughts, and I started thinking about the things I would miss. And it may surprise you, but it wasn't my kids or my job or my house or my family. Those are all amazing things in my life, but they actually made me feel guilty when I thought about it, because why the hell do I feel this way if I have all these great things? I started thinking about the things that made me me. Singing in the car, wearing hoop earrings, wearing stilettos, cooking chocolate chip cookies, all of those things I would miss. Singing off key, I would miss that. And even though people say it's annoying, I'm pretty sure they would miss it if I wasn't here. And I took it to the next step. What I did was I started messaging some friends and telling them things that I would miss if I wasn't here. And what happened was they responded back, telling me that they would miss those things about me. And I'm going to tell you, it validated what I was going through. And it also made me feel like I would be missed, that my existence did matter. And that's really important when you're struggling, because no matter how great your family is, no matter how amazing your job is, you still feel like you're a burden to those people and those things in your life. You feel like you're a burden, and it isolates you. And isolation is not something that's healthy for anybody, because it really does throw you into a darker space than you want to be in. It also, what would you miss also, gives you an opportunity to reach out to people you may think are struggling and let them know how you feel about them and things that were here. And it gives them a chance to understand there are people that care about them and that they need in their lives. Which brings me to who I'm going to introduce that is going to come on and chat with me as my dogs are barking, because that's life, right? Dogs do bark. What we want to do is we want to create a space where people can have a conversation about the people that they've lost to suicide, and have it in a way that is safe for them. And they know that they're not going to be alone, they're not going to be judged, and they can have a natural conversation. We're putting the Texas Crisis Line up, which is really important because, again, this is a tool. This isn't a crisis hotline, although my dogs might think it is. This is a place that we can just talk freely. But if you are in crisis and you are having not just suicidal ideations, but a suicide plan, please get help. Please utilize the crisis text line. It's a great resource. Talk to your doctor, talk to a friend. That being said, those feelings and those thoughts that are going through your head are normal. As much as we don't want to think that they are normal. They do come straight away with depression and anxiety. They go hand in hand together. Everybody has thoughts of suicide at some time, or death. Everybody does, whether it's a fleeting moment or it's an idea that they can't stop thinking about. They have them. And until we start talking about it and normalizing it, we're not going to be able to help people. I have a brilliant friend that once said to me, memes don't help people, walks don't help people, people help people. And my friend Kim's going to come on and she's going to talk, and we're going to talk really openly about the loss of her daughter to suicide and how hard it was for her. And I want to stress, and this is going to be a really tough conversation, and it's important to understand, a child dies by suicide, a parent dies by suicide, anybody in your family does. It does not make the people around them bad. It does not make the people around them wrong or did something wrong. That's not what the base of this is. It has to do with the internal pain that the person was going through. And you did nothing wrong. Please understand that. It's really important. So that being said, Kim, thank you for letting me talk you into coming and talking with me.
Oh my gosh.
Are you already crying?
No, of course. You've already had me crying twice. And that's exactly what I thought. Like, oh my gosh, she's got me crying and I'm not even on there. Okay, go ahead.
No, you are totally golden. Kim, I want you to tell us a little bit about your daughter. Tell us some things that you miss about her.
Oh my gosh. I miss arguing with her. As crazy as it sounds, my house was always very, very loud, obnoxious. Like when people would come to my house, I'd be like, oh, you're entering at your own risk. Like, I really do apologize. It's loud. I don't want to tell anybody. Like, and it's not like that.
Yeah. And I think I want to say something. I think it's really important to understand what you just said and how important it is. Because I'm sure there's a teen watching this. I'm sure there's a parent watching this. And all those kids think that we are so annoyed by the arguing and the doors slamming and the dog barking and the homework not done. And we're yelling because the garbage didn't get put out. I'm going to tell you something. Those are the things we would miss most if you weren't here. It is honestly the things that we would miss most. All of those things make you who you are. That's part of life, right? Arguments and learning how to get along with each other. It does not make that person less loved.
Like me and her just argued because we were so much alike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. It's kind of a hard question, but you know me.
God.
When you think back about those things and about what she was going through, what stands out in your mind the most? Because I think this is actually really important, because sometimes there's no signs. Everyone always talks about look for the signs, look for them giving away things, or removing themselves from social media, or sitting in their room more. Those are all signs. Yes, we know those signs. But What about the signs that you don't really see until afterwards? Was there something that looking back you thought, that must have been a sign, she just was hiding it so well? And after you say that, I do want to tell you a story, but go ahead.
Her saying it all the time. I think like in the look in her face, but she always promised that she would never. And I think that's
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the hardest part. But like, I wish I would have. I don't even know, because there were no signs really. I mean, did she stay in her room more? Yeah, but she was a typical teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like, she sleep a lot? Yeah, typical teenager. Was she funny and quirky and stuff like that? Yeah, sometimes. But there were days that she wasn't like that. And I wish I never let the doctor give her.
Well, let's say that the medicine is helpful because it can help her. However, I think the bigger problem is that we need to get help after that. My therapist just said to me the other day, the work starts when you leave the office, and that's so true. And I think part of what you're talking about, Kim, is that we haven't in this world, in this society, created a space where we can talk about what we're going through and really get to the heart of why we're going through it, because she obviously had more internal pain than she was letting on.
And
And
don't get me wrong, like she like would tell you, like she wrote it all down. She gave it to the doctor. Like when she was on her medicine, she was doing pretty good. Then
mhm,
all of a sudden, she wanted to start talking to this therapist, which was absolutely fine with me. You know, mom's instinct. You know that motherly instinct that you
yeah,
get?
mhm,
It came to me and I ignored it. I
right. And I think we ignore it because we don't want to face what's going on. And we
no,
we
because I
also
had like this woman, and I'm not kidding you. I felt like she was just out of college, like a practicing, like I don't know. I didn't feel like she was a for real like psychologist
you
to
feel
help
like
her.
your daughter needed a more experienced person.
Yes, and
And
like
I
when I met this woman, I felt like she was too young. She wasn't experienced with life. Like I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me, and I kept saying it. And I just wish now I stuck with my instinct and said, no, I'm really sorry. We need somebody different. I should
It's
have done.
hard because there's not many options either. And
No,
uh
there's not. And you
right.
trust
And
your doctor.
well, and I think with teens, and this is really an important statement for parents, that are watching this, your kid might say that, and they might say it flippantly, because that is a sentence we say. I hear people say it all the time. Oh, I just might as well kill myself. That's not something to joke around about. It just isn't.
No, really not.
That's a sentence that we really need to kind of change a little. You don't really know your audience and who's saying it. My other point is with young adults, they might be saying that, and you think that they are just flippantly saying it. You don't understand that there might really be something going on that they need help with. And I think we should take every comment that a kid says like that seriously. Now, are they in crisis? I don't know if every child is in crisis, but let's not take the risk. Let's see it. Let's get them some help, a conversation, like, a resource, the crisis text line. There's things out there that we can that can help them, but it's not as easy as just going to the doctor, getting on medication, which sometimes is helpful, or talking to the school counselor. We need more than that. We need group therapy. We need to have all these different tools so that our kids have a place where they can actually have a conversation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So she was vibrant, as I well know, because I know your family has told me so many beautiful stories about her. And
She
you and I
was
have had
on
this
the beach.
conversation. Yeah, you and I have had this conversation before. I think that her mission happened really after she died. I think that her work, her story is living on, and I think that that is so important to talk about her in a way that connects her to other people. Because I could tell my story, but that's not going to resonate with everybody else. Her story may resonate with somebody, and anybody else's story is going to resonate. This is why we have to keep storytelling and why it's important, because we never know who we're going to connect by sharing your story.
Oh, absolutely.
Kim, so oh, there you go. I think you froze for a second.
Oh, probably.
So I am curious about something, and I know it's kind of a difficult conversation again to have, but have you gone to see somebody since she has
No.
died? Do you do you think that you being able to talk about her, and I mean, I know you guys have been part of What Would You Miss since I started, so being able to have a space where you see her, pop up on your screen and you hear beautiful words about her, does that help you in the grieving process?
Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like there was a reason that, like, you came into my life. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, that you started this right as, Ray, did, but there's a reason. And
Yeah,
this is it.
I totally agree with you because I loved being able to share her story because, you know, uh, parents could relate to it, children could relate to it, and I could relate to it. I saw myself in her a lot, like a lot of things. I saw myself in her. I think the other part to this whole picture is always know how to start that conversation. It's a really hard conversation to have. And if you're like you're talking about your gut, if your gut is telling you that something's going on with your child or your parent or your spouse, whoever, you have to find ways that you can have a conversation with them. And honestly, that is why I started What Would You Miss, is because I wanted to create a space where people could have a real gentle conversation without really having to say the word, because it is hard to say the word. But there are ways that you can help people, not just by using What Would You Miss. There's questions you can ask them. If they even utter the word, I just want to kill myself. You can ask them, what's getting you to that point? What happened today? I think we tend to forget that, as when we're in that dark space, I know I do, is that we through the yesterday. It's, oh, hello, kitty. We got through yesterday, and if you can get through yesterday, you can get through today. And we forget that part. We are strong individuals because we've gotten through some really dark times, and we have to remind ourselves of that. And I think, you can remind your friends of that and your family members who are close to you that may be struggling. Was do you guys still call her Riri? Because that's how I've always heard you
No,
guys
I
say
really
her
call her
name.
Ray, but whatever you
You
want
call
to
her
call her.
Ray,
I mean,
right, right.
yeah.
Um, how do you think this has changed your family dynamic? How do you think has it made you guys more aware of mental health and brought you closer in that respect?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think before I would like kind of like let it go that Rihanna didn't want to come down and have dinner because she wanted to wait for her sister to come home from work. And I got all that, but I should have made her come down. I should have just made her come down.
Right.
But now I feel like, and now Michaela's even like joining in more with dinners, which is really nice. So we do sit down and have like more family dinners, more
Yeah.
like of a family. And I just wish she was here to be part of it.
She's, I hate to say it, but she is all around you. I mean,
Oh yeah.
so again, you and I have had this conversation multiple times, and your husband, signs are incredible, and your daughter is like a force, man. Um,
Oh,
between music and little things that she has put into your place, uh, I think that's pretty incredible that you can actually look at some signs and see, that she's right there around you.
hmm.
And your son has reached out to me too, and he's shared a post before on What Would You Miss, which is great because how old is he? 14?
He's now the little 13 and a half.
Yeah. I mean, for him to be able to have a place where he can talk about his sibling and
Oh
be able
yeah.
to say it is like, you guys, anybody watching this, I don't think you understand how important it is, because there is that whisper over your head to be
Oh no.
other people are thinking. Did you freeze?
No,
Did I freeze?
yeah, of course I did.
hilarious. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, be able to talk about it and not worry about what people are thinking is really immense. This is Kim Frozen. I wish I could draw something on your face while you were doing that. So funny. So tell me about her friends. How have her friends changed uh, in what they've approached you about? Because I know you had a tight little group of people that would stop by.
To be honest,
You
I
can be
was
honest.
kind of surprised that her best friend doesn't really come around. But other than that, like a girl, Sarah, you remember Sarah? She did
Yeah.
something about Ray. She always sends me messages, texts me, stops over. She's a sweet kid.
Yes, who's also been really smacked around by
Oh my
suicide,
gosh, that poor
which
child.
yeah, I think people I'm gonna, not that I don't want to keep talking Ray, but I think people don't understand the effects of what's going on in our world right now. I want to explain something because I think it's really an important element to this. When you look at statistics and they tell you what numbers are like for people who have died by suicide, male or female, all those numbers, all those statistics, those are 2 years out. Those are from 2018. Okay, they are not from the past 2 years. So you're talking 2 years out. With everything that's going on right now with COVID and everything that we're dealing with, we will not see the effect of that for 2 more years. Okay, I want everyone to really understand that that's a really long span. It's huge. So our work needs to be happening now so that we can at
Mm.
least get, ahead of the game somewhat, somehow, for depression, anxiety, loneliness, PTSD. We're seeing people who have never exhibited these signs before going through it because they're isolated from their family and their work. We have to create spaces where people can have a conversation and not feel judged because they're feeling that. When someone comes to you and says, oh my God, I lost my job, I'm getting a divorce, I'm losing my house, I have nothing, I just want to die. Saying to them, oh, suck it up, you're going to be okay, is not going to make them suck it up, and it's not going to be okay. We have to create a conversation and help them through it. Now, am I saying that our family and friends are going to help us through our darkest of times? No, but they need to be the place that we can talk to and not feel judged by it. And then maybe provide us with information or help that we can get. And that's really what's super important right now because there's so much of this going on. And, to go back to Ray, our kids are suffering. And if you think your kid is doing okay, I'm going to tell you right now, they are probably not in some shape or form. They are isolated from their friends. They can't go to, class. Their schools are getting shut down. They never know if the school's even going to be in session because someone got COVID and they have to close everything down. They're online 24/7. They're getting bullied more because online is so intense. So what I'm saying is we have got to reach out to our kids and let them know that you can have a conversation with them about this, because I will tell you from the groups that I'm in, the suicide rate amongst kids is astronomical, and it starts at 12 years old.
Oh, I've seen younger than that. That's the
Yeah.
sad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding you. Like I had a man like pull through the drive. Oh, this is another one. I used to always complain to Ray about videotaping and like always like on her phone and I'm so glad she did that. I have all that stuff to go back and look at. I
Oh,
get to go back and look at that
I just
and
got
talk shit.
goosebumps.
Oh, of course. I'm
It's all right. It froze.
sorry.
It froze right when you swore, so it's perfect.
Oh, okay, good. Oh man. Oh.
Yeah, I never thought about that. So all those times, and it's funny, not that my mother didn't die by suicide, she died tragically, but um uh she I don't have any pictures. I have like two pictures of me and her. And so I make a point of always taking pictures with my kids because I want them
Mhm.
to have those pictures, you know?
Yep, those
Oh,
memories, absolutely. You have no idea, like, when we're feeling sad or go through her stuff, because you'll watch all sorts of and there's stupid videos, like the
right,
dumbest stuff. Like, I mean, legit the dumbest stuff. Her looking for Vaseline and bumping her head. Like, who records this stuff?
right. But the
Like,
kids do.
yeah. And I used to always be like, Rihanna, put your phone away. Rihanna, put your phone away. Oh my God, you always got your phone in your face. Oh my God, get the phone away from the table. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Never so happier that she had that phone.
I love that. I love that.
She did hundreds of videos.
I have seen some of her videos, and some of them are pretty funny, I have to tell you, because you guys are
Yeah,
great about
she's
sharing those with me, and I
she's
appreciate that.
professional.
I think you guys talking about her so candidly and so open and being really honest, because we have also had conversations about the fact that, you know, she did struggle and there was things that she had a hard time with. I love that you're that honest about it, because people who look at this are going to think this was just a real child. It's not the straight A student. She wasn't really a partier either. She was kind of in the middle of everything. The point is that depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, it has no cookie cutter. It's all of
Nope.
us. I remember the first time I went to a group session with about 15 people who had all tried to kill themselves. And I looked around, and it was everything from CEOs to businesses to, you know, stay-at-home moms to, you know, people who worked at, you know, the diner down the street to 18-year-olds who are, you know, struggling in college. And I thought, my God, we're all here. And every one of us has suffered and had so much pain that we couldn't handle it. And we all put our pants on the same exact way, yet we're all so different. And that to me is just so, it's transcendent of what, you know, goes on in the world. You get a lot of love, girl, a lot of love.
I know. I love my family.
You have a great family. They are super supportive. And I just want to say again that I know that you and I talk about this frequently, but you didn't do anything wrong. I think that the hard thing for people to understand is that pain that you're feeling when you're that in that dark space is so deep, and it's so rooted, and it's so strong that your mind can't get out of the space of believing that your people would be better off without you. And I want everyone to know who's watching this right now. And if you're feeling like that, you're struggling, your family would rather listen to you look for your Vaseline or sing about
Well,
some stupid song than listen to your eulogy. 100% they would rather. So you have to reach out. I know it's hard. I know reaching out is so hard, but reaching out shows that you are strong. And it doesn't have to be you saying, I want to kill myself. That's a hard sentence. But you saying, hey, Kim, if you weren't here, I would miss the way I could make you cry quite easily.
everything you say, it's absolutely ridiculous. You had me crying 5 seconds into our conversation.
The point is that I would miss you. And I think telling the people that you love, different times of the day, what you would miss is so important. Um, you are getting a lot of love again. And you do have this. Your Brittany is telling you that you got this. And I think that that is really important, because you know what? You can do hard things.
You kind of got no choice but to
And,
keep
you
on
know, okay,
trucking.
one more thing, and I know we're going to be running out of time soon, but so like you have people telling you you love this and you got this and raise all around you, and you know, one of my favorite sayings is, you know, you can do hard things. And I just talked about this the other day. I think this is a problem in our world, is that we shove these positivity quotes down people's throats, right? We shove them down people's throats. Be positive. catch your dreams, all of them. That's all great. However, if you're feeling like crap and you're really in a dark space, you don't know how to do any of that. So when we're using those great phrases, they're great. So don't give me any hate. I do love these phrases, but when you use them, you have to understand what they mean. So saying to someone, it's okay to not be okay is a great sentence, but what the hell does that mean? You are actually, by saying that sentence, you're giving somebody permission. You're giving them permission to actually feel that way and to process why they're not okay, to understand it, and to push through it. That is what we're trying to do by some of those quotes. So I think, I love that the schools have all these great projects and stuff, but let's really try to
Yeah, they
remember
don't do
that.
enough. They don't. I'm sorry, the schools don't do enough.
I know, and I think, in the school's
I'm
defense,
really sorry, the schools
and
don't do enough.
you know how I feel, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate just a tad. I think they're scared, and I understand that.
Well,
And
guess what? Reality check. They should have had
yes,
a reality check when they had the second one
I agree.
happen at
I
the
agree.
same school.
Here's a myth, and this is an important myth, and I want everyone to listen to it. Talking about suicide does not increase suicide. It does not perpetuate it. It does not give you more suicide. What it does is it creates a space where kids can actually have a conversation about it, which is so, so important. If we don't talk about it and we lift up the rug and we sweep it underneath there, so does their emotions, their feelings, and their angers. So when we do that, it does not help them through it. Talking about suicide truly, truly helps them push through it. And I get that they're scared, but you're right,
But they need to do more. They need to do more. They have our children more than we have our children. And I mean, I've seen like people's rude comments, like, that we're parents and we're trying to get the schools to take care of our children or some craziness like that. It's not that. It's called, we have everything else in school, social studies. I don't use social studies on a dang regular basis. Like, come on now. My English, like, come on. Gym, no offense, my fat butt is not running anywhere. And so like 90% of what I went to school with and learned isn't going on in my everyday life.
Well, you know what, Kim, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna challenge a little just to the schools, because I agree with you and I disagree with you. I do think we need all of that, but we need more. We need more life skills, and that is what you're getting at. Gym is a great class. I think we call it PE now, but whatever. For the record, anyone watching this, I failed gym and had to go to night gym.
Oh, me too.
So that's city girl life. Anyways, we need to teach our kids life lessons. So it's not just about talking about depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's teaching them the tools that they need to push through those emotions. I can sit here and I can have a whole conversation with kids, all right? And I can educate them on things. And I try to do that on a regular. Depression and sadness are two different things. Sadness is an emotion. It's just like anger. It's just like happiness. We push through it. We get through it, and we get to that other side. All right. Depression is something that is diagnosed, and we live with it. We live with it, and we have to learn how to live with it. Well, let's teach our kids how to live with it. Let's teach them how to live with their depression, why our kids are self-harming. And if you think they're not, I'm sorry, they are. Eating disorders, hair pulling, cutting, burning, those are all signs of self-harm. Self-harm does not mean you want to die by suicide. It means you're trying to release some pain. Let's give them some healthy alternatives. Let's give them some ways that they can help themselves while they're going through that pain. That's what the schools should be doing. And I'm not saying the parents should be doing it 100%.
Oh, yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like we aren't involved and didn't know. And like, she wasn't trying to get help or we ignored it. First off, our insurance sucks. All insurances suck. That needs to be looked at, because let me tell you what. Then they even tried sending me a bill after she died. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, you cut out.
What'd you say? I said
they sent you a bill.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I said, are you
Oh my
serious? I
God.
said, no offense. I said, but if anything, you people should be calling me to tell me that you're going to give me therapy and my children therapy for the rest of my life for free. Not that I go to ya because I don't trust yous.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe they sent you a bill.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this is
I
okay.
have no idea. Like, oh, not even like a couple weeks afterwards or the following week after she died. Like, seriously, let her body sit there for a minute.
Oh Lord. So we have
Mhm.
we have a lot of problems that are in our system, and that's just the truth of it. We have a lot of problems. And what I was saying before about talking to our kids, not every parent is like you and I who can have a very candid conversation. And I get that. Like I totally understand that it's really hard to talk to your kids about this. But maybe our schools can actually have classes for parents that can help us talk to our kids too. I'd be okay with that. And I have to applaud Fayetteville Free Library for letting me talk this candidly on their platform because that is super, super impressive and progressive at the same time because
Mhm.
this is the way we're going to make a difference is by showing everybody, look at Kim and I are laughing. We are joking around and we're still talking about a really heavy subject. I mean, understand everybody that her daughter died 2 years. Is it not? No, it's
No,
been
it's
a
only been
year.
a year.
It's been 1 year. So this is huge. Like to be able to have a conversation like this where it's so raw and it's so still there is really important. And I'm really proud of Fayetteville Free Library for doing that. I mean, I think it's incredible. Um, your family just cracks me up. I just love your
And you
family.
have no idea. It took me probably 4 months to get her in to go see a therapist. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's funny, Kim, that you say that. I actually did a rant once about a a friend of mine needed to get therapy for her child, and it took her 6 months. They didn't take boys, they didn't take 18-year-olds, they didn't take her insurance. They had to fill out a care list. I mean, my list went on and on.
Oh,
However,
absolutely.
however, we can call our doctor right now and say, I got pink eye, and they will take us right away
Mm.
until we can make physical health and mental health the same thing as far as our providers go, we're always going
Mhm.
to have an issue. And I think our kids sense that. Like they need to understand, kids need to understand that physical health and mental health are intertwined and they go together. Because I'm going to explain something to everybody. Because I've been Ray, I've felt that pain and not too long ago. Okay. When you feel that emotional pain, it's physical. You actually are in pain physically. And when you feel that much physical pain, you want it to be seen because you can't understand why it's not being seen. You don't understand why your pain can't be seen because you hurt so bad. And I'm going to cry right now. If you hurt that bad, you think, how can nobody see this? You know, and I hid. I can put that mask on and I can hide it so well. Like you wouldn't even know how much pain I was in. And if we're hiding behind all of that, we're not creating a space where people could say, you know what, I'm hurting. I'm in pain and not be judged. We are screwing up. We are truly screwing up as a society on a whole. So accessibility, being able to understand that someone's okay. Did your husband just walk in and say, Jesus, did she make you cry again?
No, he said you're Rihanna.
I know.
Oh
I've
gosh.
always felt that way. Like I've really felt connected to her because so many different things.
So
Anyways, if you can't see that pain, and that's how we get to that dark spot. It really is. It's how we get to that dark spot. Um, your friend Lisa is saying that her son is 9 and clinically diagnosed with depression. I have a child diagnosed just as young, and that's because we're creating a place where they can actually have a conversation with us, and we would never know that if we didn't have that conversation. Understand that your kids, if they are when they're that young, you really the signs are there. We just have to open our eyes. And I know, as parents, it is so hard to admit that our kids are struggling because we feel like a failure, but we're not. We're not failures because our kids are struggling. That's part of life. This is not something that can be avoided all the time. So anyways, well, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you coming in and having a conversation with me because I know it was hard, and I love that you jumped in even though I texted you and you were like, "What? Huh?" And I just want to
uh,
applaud. I want to applaud Kim that she actually got on this and didn't struggle
yeah, I
with it. She
did.
clicked it right
Yeah,
away, and that's really
I
impressive
did.
for her.
Yeah.
Super proud of you. Maybe
And
that
I
was
did it all
Ray
by myself.
channel. You did it all by yourself. Maybe that was Ray channeling you and saying, "Mama, you got to get on this because I want people to know who I was."
You have no idea. Like anything I do, I'm like, Blake, 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 what's my password? He'll be like, seriously, Kim, how do I know your password?
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna pull you off screen and do one last closing statement, and then we'll end our night. So again, I want to thank you guys for stopping in and having this conversation with me. I know it was could have been uncomfortable for some of you. I hope that it showed you that we can talk about depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, and all of that stuff, and still laugh, maybe cry a little bit, but we can still have a conversation. Use What Would You Miss? Try it. Send a message to someone that you care about. Tell them something you would miss about them. If you're struggling, send a message to someone and let them know something you'd miss about yourself. And if someone that you know has died by suicide, tell us. Tell us about them. We want to know. We want to hear about them because they still matter and their story matters. If you are in crisis and you're struggling with suicidal ideations, please text 741-741. There's help out there. All you have to do is reach your hand out and someone will pull you up. Thank you for being here.